NASA Ames Research Center, Moffett Field, California. On December 5th, 2011, astronomers working with the Kepler Space Telescope announced the discovery of a planet they called Kepler-22b, orbiting within what's known as the habitable zone of a distant star.
Today's discovery is a tantalizing indication that, with time, Kepler may find true Earth analogs.
Kepler-22b is about 600 light years away from Earth, so that's a long way. But it is, in fact, in an orbit that means that the daytime temperatures on that planet might be comparable to a summer in San Francisco. So that's the first time we found a planet that might have liquid oceans, maybe a thick atmosphere, maybe even life.
What we'd ultimately like to do first is just understand how other planetary systems are made up. But then we really would like to find Earth-like planets. Planets in the habitable zone of sun-like stars.
But is it possible that NASA scientists have been searching for life they already know exists? Some believe previous voyages into space have uncovered evidence of an extraterrestrial presence.
Houston, Discovery, how do you read, over?
Discovery, Houston, read you loud and clear.
Go for main engine start. Main engines up and burning. 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
On September 12, 1991, the Space Shuttle Discovery, STS-48, flew nearly 350 miles above the surface of the Earth. Its crew, led by Captain John Creighton, performed several missions, including the deployment of an upper atmosphere research satellite.
Use go for free drift. Okay, we're in free drift.
But while the astronauts occupied themselves with various tasks, a video camera at the rear cargo bay door captured footage that NASA claims no longer exists. But a number of amateurs that were monitoring the transmission produced what they allege is genuine footage from STS-48. The video shows what appears to be a series of unidentified glowing objects and flashing lights that change direction and accelerate rapidly.
Apparently, the space shuttle was surrounded by some kind of UFO, a flying saucer type of craft. Some kind of a shield at one point was supposedly put around the shuttle, briefly. And then the UFO and everything disappeared.
One of the astronauts openly states over an open channel, hey, we're being tracked by an alien spacecraft. And then all of a sudden, all the transmission just ceases. And I think what happened is that he must have realized he was on the public channel, not the private channel, and he probably very, very quickly switched over to the private channel to describe what it was he was seeing.
I knew everyone, and I heard stories from everyone. Nobody brought me any evidence. So, one side of the coin, it's everywhere out there. Has it been here? I have no evidence.
NASA officials claim the video images show ice particles glinting in the sun. But is it possible that video transmissions from the space shuttle captured more than what NASA officials want to admit?
Occasionally, shuttle astronauts will report that they've seen things or experienced things in space that they can't explain and that might be due to an alien presence.
Ever since humankind launched itself into space, there have been reports where astronauts describe something that they saw while being up in the spaceship. And we have to remind ourselves that those stories are reported by astronauts and not by insane people.
the Vatican. Vatican City, Italy. In the 17th century, Pope Paul V ordered select documents of the Catholic Church moved from the Vatican Library and closed to outsiders until 1881. Today, the Vatican's secret archives are closely guarded, and some researchers believe they contain revelations so explosive that they threaten the doctrine of the Catholic Church.
You have to wonder if the secret library at the Vatican, which they acknowledge exists, doesn't have records or chronicles about extraterrestrial contacts that the Catholic Church has recorded and knows happened, but is keeping a secret.
Might the Vatican's secret archives contain the details of messages Giordano Bruno may have received from extraterrestrials? Information that supports his pronouncements about the universe.
When we look at certain specific examples, like Giordano Bruno, we know that there was so more to it than this. The Vatican archives, whenever they're going to be opened, are going to reveal extraordinary levels of details.
According to researchers, the Vatican's secret archives holds hidden evidence connected to the miracle of Fatima. It was here in 1917 that 3 children claimed to have received messages from what some Catholic theologians believe was the Virgin Mary.
In Fatima, children saw an apparition they said was the Virgin Mary. And 70,000 people came to this same sheep pasture. And people said that they saw a spinning silver disc. The Catholic Church, for a very long time, would not acknowledge what was happening with the children or Fatima.
The extraterrestrials give to the children a telepathic message saying, "You are not alone on this planet. We are here. We have been here some thousands of years ago. We observe you. Please prepare mankind that we will return again." All this story of Fatima went to the Vatican.
But is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists contend, that the Catholic Church censored the messages that were received in Fatima?
The kids were given 3 messages, and the Pope refused to release the 3rd message. The 3rd message apparently talks about extraterrestrial life. Now that is sensational, because to me, to deny the revelation of that particular message, and that is exactly what the Pope did. And I wonder why.
Some contend that the miracle of Fatima is one of many events that describe visitations from extraterrestrial messengers. Researchers also point to the voices described by Joan of Arc, visions received in Lourdes by Bernadette Soubirous, and countless stories depicted in the Hebrew Bible, in which similar events are described. Perhaps the Vatican knows far more about life in the universe than they have acknowledged. But does a belief in alien life question the omnipotence of a supreme being?
Of course, the Vatican knows about extraterrestrial life, but to suggest that because extraterrestrials exist, that means there is no God is total nonsense.
Giza, Egypt. In 1977, and then again in 1987, electronics engineer and inventor Joe Parr conducted experiments on the top of the Great Pyramid. Using equipment of his own design, Parr measured the pyramid's electrical, magnetic, and radioactive properties.
Joe Parr, who was my very close friend and research colleague, discovered what I believe is the most incredible discovery about the Great Pyramid and pyramids in general. Joe believed that the pyramids had an energy field around them. All pyramids had it. The problem is the pyramid energy field was usually not strong enough. So he developed in his laboratory a method for generating this pyramid energy, so then he could actually do scientific studies on it.
Over the last few decades, people have been experimenting with pyramids. What has come to the forefront of this is the fact that pyramids are an enigma. They really have powers which are very hard to explain. And so people like Joe Parr have been looking into this. When somebody goes to the top of the Great Pyramid and experiences this weird electromagnetic vibration, this is not just a coincidence, but this has to do with the fact that the Great Pyramid is causing this.
Joe Parr found out that if he put a model pyramid and spun it in a centrifuge through an alternating magnetic current, an energy field, or he calls it an orb or bubble, would form around the model pyramid. Joe found that this bubble or energy orb would block all known types of electromagnetic radiation, even gamma rays. Now, this was interesting. We don't know of any types of energy forces that could do this. This is the most incredible thing about Joe Parr's discovery.
In later laboratory experiments, Parr claimed to have discovered yet another strange physical phenomenon. The model pyramid became weightless in the energy field and began to move in a specific direction.
They calculated the direction of this energy field where the pyramid would shoot out from. And guess what? It aligns exactly where we would see the constellation Orion. So Joe speculated that it went into hyperspace. This is speculation, but it makes a lot of sense. In string theory and physics, it postulates the existence of 6 additional spatial dimensions. So how do we know the way this energy fields were set up? It allows this pyramid to go into another dimension and travel. Joe never proved this, but before he died, he believed that the pyramid acted as a time machine, if you could unlock its key.
I believe that it's a gateway or a portal into multiple dimensions that would enable a transmission of people, objects, or consciousness from other dimensions into our dimension.
Is it possible, like Joe Parr believed, that the Great Pyramid could facilitate travel through interdimensional space? And if so, were there other pyramids with the same capabilities? Might the Earth's pyramids be connected, not simply by shape, but by purpose, perhaps as part of some otherworldly plan?
The ancient people were all building these same pyramids because it was a way for them to tap in to the natural energy of the Earth. And you have to think that whoever is guiding such a precise network of pyramids must have been a very advanced culture, probably extraterrestrials.
In all of this, I have one single question. Where are the blueprints? If all of this was so incredibly important, then wouldn't you think that we would have at least one record of some type of a blueprint? And the reality is, there is not a single piece. Why? Could it be because the blueprints have disappeared?
Washington, D.C., July 19th, 1952. In the skies over the heart of the United States government, multiple unidentified flying objects are picked up on radar by air traffic controllers at Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base.
There were jets scrambled to intercept them. When the jets would get there, they would disappear. When the jets would land, they would reappear again. Basically, it was all over the news, all over the entire world.
So it happened twice on 2 consecutive weekends, meaning that more and more people saw the same thing. They were flying over the heart of Washington, so that is essentially the equivalent of landing on the White House lawn.
According to ancient astronaut theorists, there was a reason that alien beings chose the nation's capital to make contact.
We had a series of UFO sightings that were buzzing the White House, the US Capitol, I think in an attempt to make a very symbolic direct contact saying, hey, we'd like to talk to you guys. But it just seems to me like somehow we didn't get the message.
In the days following the mysterious sightings over the nation's capital, the US government refused to acknowledge any extraterrestrial connection.
We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate to any conceivable threat to the United States.
In 1952, the Air Force created Project Blue Book to investigate the growing number of sightings and contact events. But was this simply an attempt on the part of the US government to suppress the truth?
You've got too many tangible, objective sightings, and of objects, by the way, that were doing things that were just incredibly extraordinary. We've got a physical phenomenon. It's real. The question is why, and that's something we don't have the answer to.
If the United States government and others around the world knew that extraterrestrials were real, why was this information being covered up? Could it be that authorities feared the threat that these unconventional spacecraft represented to national security?
There's a long litany of reports that the US government has authored on UFOs, and many of them show dramatic UFO evidence for real. And yet, their conclusion was it's either hoaxes or mistaken sightings of natural phenomena and so forth. That's the history of US government studies on UFOs.
In modern times, there's the idea that there's a secret and small elite body of people who are covering up the truth from the rest of society. That aliens from space have visited planet Earth, but nobody else is allowed to know about it.
In 1969, the Air Force abruptly terminated Project Blue Book. Could it be that the government denials regarding extraterrestrial contact were failing to convince the public? Or is it possible that officials knew far more than they admitted about these events that were being reported again and again?